Back. I am Dr. Kat. I'm a licensed U.S. pharmacist, and today we are going over weight loss. So, weight loss and appetite go hand in hand, right? So, if you've ever tried to lose weight and you get really, really hungry, there's a reason for that, and we are going to go over that today. When we lose weight, not only do our appetites increase, but our energy expenditure at rest goes down. What does that mean? It means that when we're sitting down, okay, the calories that we burn when we've lost weight and in the process of losing weight, when we calorically restrict, it goes down. And that seems like, oh, wait a minute. That's counter, right? It's like our bodies are trying to keep the weight on. And if you've ever felt kind of stuck or at a weight plateau or something like that, you're not imagining things, it's actually happening to you. And so when we restrict calories, our appetites go up and we have something in our bodies. It's a convoluted system, but I'm going to go over one thing today. There's a system in place to make us very, very hungry so that we eat more so that we don't starve to death. This goes back thousands of years, right? So this is like a compensatory mechanism that our bodies use so that we didn't starve to death. And it's still there. So what we first want to do is thank our bodies for trying to keep us alive. Because I think far too many times we get into this trap of we're at war with our bodies. And our bodies are just trying to protect us. If we can kind of put that into perspective, maybe it might make it a little bit easier. We're not at war with our body. We're trying to work with it. So how do we do that? First, we have to look at the mechanisms behind weight loss and then how hard it is in a lot of people, especially if you're for a certain age, like in your 40s on up, especially if you're perimenopausal or menopausal, which I am menopausal now. And I myself have gained a lot of weight, and I've listened to medical advice and gained a lot of weight doing that. And so I spent some time looking into all of the scientific evidence, the studies and everything to figure out what's going on. And I may or may not have cracked the code. I think I have. So that's why I've created this video, because I don't want other people going through this turmoil unnecessarily. So today I'm going to focus on one particular hormone, and that is ghrelin. And ghrelin is known as the hunger hormone. And there's a reason for that, because if you've ever tried losing weight and then you look at everything in the room and you're like, I gotta have it, that's the hunger hormone. That's ghrelin working. Now, there are many other hormones and nutrients and systems in place and peptides in place that are part of the system, but today I'm focusing on ghrelin because that's the one that makes us so ravenous that we could eat our arm, or you hear the statements, I'm so hungry I could eat my arm, I'm so hungry I could eat a horse, right? And I'm in that phase right now because I'm in that process of losing the weight that I unfortunately gained. Well-intentioned people tried to help me, and I gained the weight. So now I'm in the process of trying to lose it, and I really get extremely hungry all the time. But I digress. Ghrelin is the hormone, and it's primarily produced in the stomach, the fundus of the stomach. So there are other places in the body where it is produced in small amounts. The main part is in the stomach, but you can produce it. It is produced in the brain. It's produced in the small intestine, in the pancreas, and in the adrenal glands. So, I mean, you do have other places, but primarily it's in the stomach, which makes sense because that's where it's affecting us, right? Like we're getting grumbly tummies and just ravenous. So when our stomachs, in between meals, as we get closer to the next mealtime, right, our hunger increases. We all know this. It's normal. That's ghrelin. So it's going to a part of the brain called the hypothalamus, which is our reward center kind of thing too. There's a part in our brain called the amygdala, which is the reward center. But this ghrelin goes to the hypothalamus and says, hey, it's been a while since we've eaten. I'm really, really hungry. Let's eat something right now. And it increases the longer you go in between meals. Okay. And that's a normal system. So then you eat food, and then the ghrelin will fall. Okay, until another, several hours pass, and it's time to eat again, and the cycle repeats. Okay, that's very basic. It's generally what's going on there. But when the ghrelin rises, you get the achy, acidic feeling in your stomach, right? You might have mood changes because you get agitated, irritated the longer you go, especially if you have other issues going on like hypoglycemia, which is low blood sugar. You can have issues there. If you're taking insulin, it all interacts, okay? So it's what makes you want to scarf everything down, in other words. In a perfect system, this works really well. When we're trying to lose weight, this kind of goes awry. So especially, again, if you're perimenopausal and menopausal, this hormone packs a big punch. So in one study that I read, they gave a ghrelin injection to normal people, and they noticed 30% increase in consumption of calories. 30%. That's huge scientifically. So this isn't a just benign kind of thing. Oh, I feel a little hungry. No, this makes you very, very ravenous, and it makes it very difficult to control that. And so you will eat anything in sight. I don't care if it's carb, good carb, bad carb. Carbs are carbs. But we've heard all this before. If it's chocolate or a donut or whatever, you're going to eat it because you're hungry. So there's that. And plus, I've mentioned the reward center. The amygdala is in our brain, which is the reward center. And ghrelin reacts to that. And this reward center is responsible for food addiction and alcohol addiction. So ghrelin is a part of this whole system. So it's not, in other words, something small that you're trying to overcome. And we all say willpower, willpower, willpower. If you've ever seen, or you yourself have been living with addiction, this is what we're talking about. So it's a very powerful hormone. Now, ghrelin isn't just with your appetite for that. Ghrelin has other properties in the body, so it does other things for our body. It increases fat storage. Makes sense, right? It gets us to eat, right? And a long time ago, fat was important, right? Because we could go longer periods if we had some fat on us, and then we didn't starve to death. So it promotes fat storage. It promotes it, unfortunately, for all of us in middle age, around the abdomen, the belly, the midline, right? And the more we get there, the worse our heart health, vascular health, like blood vessels and veins, things like that. So it does do that. So it promotes fat storage. It also forces the pituitary gland to release growth hormone. This is good because growth hormone, as we're growing, right? We grow up, right? We also grow muscle. So if we have more muscle, we burn more at rest. So muscle is important. Remember that. Muscle is important. Ghrelin's a part of that. Okay, so well, it's fat storage, but then it promotes, growth hormones so that we build muscles. So okay, conflicting, right? Okay, so on top of that, it promotes food motility through our GI tracts. Okay, so if we eat and we don't move the food, we just sits there, right? So ghrelin is responsible for that gut motility. So moving the food through your stomach to your duodenum and down through your small intestine, large intestine, and out. So we need ghrelin for that. If we have issues with that, we have things like irritable bowel, right? Irritable bowel is things like constipation, diarrhea too. It's all that bloating, belly pain, nausea, that sort of thing. So ghrelin's important. We don't want to get too little, and obviously we don't want too much. So it inhibits insulin as well. And so with this, we have a spike in blood sugars into our body. It tells our body, hey, we need energy, so we need sugar in our bodies, which could be a problem if you're diabetic, let's say, right? So keep these things in mind. It increases stomach acid secretion, so that makes sense. If we, hey, we need to eat, so we release stomach acid, that sort of thing. And it tells your pancreas to release glucagon. Okay, so it does many different things, right? Some you wish it wouldn't, but hey, building muscle, that's good. Helps us burn, helps us lose weight. Okay, but that's not all it does. Ghrelin also plays a role in your heart health and your vascular health, which is super duper important. It controls the metabolism of lipids. If you've heard of lipids, like high cholesterol, right? Triglycerides, your LDL, right? That sort of thing. It helps. So it's a what we call cardioprotective and vascular protective element, hormone. So again, okay, we don't want too little of it. It plays a role in memory, especially food memory, and it plays a role in learning and in stress and in our sleep-wake cycle. How we, are we getting 7 to 9 hours of sleep a night, right? When we wake up, when we go to sleep, when we get tired, okay? So it affects so many things. Hormones generally do. But this is just to give you an overview of it. High levels of ghrelin, like I said, kind of goes up when we have gone long periods of time without eating. High levels of ghrelin leads to inflammation, though. Inflammation, right? That's not good. Inflammation in our body is not a good thing. It leads to heart attacks, strokes, all sorts of things. Okay, so it's been associated with some disease states. We need to be aware of that. So for now, though, let's focus on people that want to lose weight. Okay, Dr. Kat, how do we lose weight? Okay, great. I got the general mechanism behind that. Okay, so in people that live with obesity, and I am actually classified as being obese according to my body mass index. BMI, anyone? Now, as far as a side note is BMI, I don't believe BMI should really be used, because there are people that are weightlifters and stuff, and their BMIs are high, but they're really healthy. So I want to take this with a grain of salt. However, we don't really have any other way to classify this, as a BMI over 30 is obese, a BMI over 25 is considered overweight. And people living with obesity they've noticed, lower ghrelin levels. You think, oh, okay, well then it should be easier to lose weight, right? Not so. Because what they found is that people living with obesity have lower levels because we're more sensitive to it. So we don't need as much to just be like ravenous. And then when you try and lose weight, which they say, hey, lose 10 to 20% of your body weight, right? It gets out of control, right? And I know out there it's very easy. People want a pill. People want an injection, which there are those available, and I'll go over those in a later video if you guys want. Just let me know, comment below. But honestly, it's better if we can do it without the medications, because with any medication you get side effects, and some of these side effects that are coming out now that they're noticing with some of these medications, the semaglutides, the GLP-1 agonists, are not so great in some people. Now, if you need it, that's why I always say talk with your healthcare team. They know you best. I don't know you. I don't know your situation. That's a disclaimer here. I don't know your situation. I don't know you. I'm giving you information so you can take it to your healthcare team and you can talk to them about it, your own specific situation. Okay? So if you really need it and you talk to your physicians and your specialists and this is best for you. Okay, fine. Great. I'm just saying, for people that want a quick fix, sometimes the quick fixes actually end up hurting you in the long run. So I'm talking to those that want to try and do this without medications at first, which obviously the conservative approach is better here. But again, in people with living with obesity, our levels, I say are because I'm in that category, are lower because we're more sensitive. Oh, we're so sensitive. So anyway, okay, Dr. Kat. So I know all these things now. How do I lose this weight? Okay, so if you're in this situation, I'm in it with you. You are not alone. First and foremost, we want to thank our bodies again for getting us to this point. because it has. It's just trying to protect us. Okay. So, as far as the disorders that it's linked to, ghrelin has been linked to low levels of it, chronic gastritis, which is chronic inflammation of the stomach. Okay, that's not good, right? It leads to dyspepsia. Dyspepsia is a big word. So that's bloating, nausea, belly pain, that sort of thing, like heartburn. Okay, dyspepsia, right? We don't want that. We speculate that's because we're not getting the gut motility. If it's low, you're not getting that gut motility, so the food's not leaving, and then we get inflammation and problems from that. We also have H. pylori, which can lower it. That's an infection of the lining of the stomach, and so the ghrelin is created in the fundus of the stomach. Let's go back to biology here. If you have this infection, which can be treated, if you have this infection, then it's in the fundus and it doesn't create the ghrelin. So then you have lower levels. When you treat the infection, then the levels rise. Okay, it's like normal levels, generally speaking. So, but if you have H. pylori and you don't know it, lower ghrelin levels. And then you have irritable bowel. If you have low levels, you can have irritable bowel. So we don't necessarily want really low levels of ghrelin because irritable bowel is terrible. That's constipation, that's diarrhea too. It's just, the food's just not moving fast enough. Bloating, gas, all of that. It's uncomfortable. It makes you sick. Quality of life just goes down the tank. So we don't want too high, we don't want too low. Healthy balance is good. And we do that when we're trying to lose weight. So the 10 or 20%, or sometimes more, I have to lose more than 20%. Our bodies, in the studies that I've read, our bodies, when we start losing weight, calorie restriction, right? Not too much. We don't want too much calorie restriction here. We get massive increases. Profound is the word. Profound increases in ghrelin. Wow, that's crazy. So it's kind of rigged. The system's kind of rigged against us to keep the weight on. And yet, okay, so there's a profound increase in ghrelin when we start losing weight, and it's protective, right? And these effects, these increases in ghrelin, even after we've lost all the weight that we want to, it sticks around. There's a study that did like a 62-week study on this, and their levels were still elevated, even then. Okay, so ghrelin stays up. Okay, that's why they always say, hey, don't gain the weight in the first place. Well, that's great, that's fine and dandy, but I listened to science and I gained 65 pounds, and now you're telling me I shouldn't have gained it to begin with? Great. So that's where the frustration and the anger can come from. Been there, done that. Still there. So this is why I've done the deep dive. Okay, and on top of it, we have all these compensatory mechanisms to try and get us to regain the weight. Only between 15 and 25% of people can lose the weight and keep it off, like for good. It's still a quarter, right? So for all of you out there that are struggling with this, lots of people are. And I think that there are ways that we can get around this without necessarily going to surgery, bariatric surgery, right? Gastric bypass, or some of the other medications, okay? Sometimes you need them, and that's fine. No judgment here. For today, I'm focusing on the diet portion. So there's a chance. It's not impossible. There's a chance, okay? And I'm going to go with the chance here. Because anything in my body, because I have autoimmune diseases, anything in my body, it's liable to, any medication that I take is liable to cause problems. Any surgery that I get is liable to cause a lot of problems. So I'm trying to do this through diet, exercise, and some of the other things I'm about ready to tell you. So, okay, this is all thanks to this little tiny hormone called ghrelin. It's like a gremlin. I see it as a gremlin in my head, but it's still good for us, right? Okay, so now that you understand the mechanism, and we call it homeostasis of our system, right? Our bodies are trying not to starve to death. Let's switch focus to how we overcome this, how we combat this. Okay, so first, we want to avoid fad diets. Fad diets are the yo-yo diets. So you are like, let's say you're 180 pounds, and then you lose and you go down to like 150 pounds. And then all of a sudden, you gain the weight back. Because again, 75% to over a little 75+% regain the weight. once you regain that weight, here's the issue. You tend to regain more than what you started out as. So if you started out at 180, when you regain, you're going to go to 190 because your body resets. Okay. And each time, so if you're yo-yo dieting, you're like 190 and you're like, okay, I'm going to lose the weight again. And it becomes harder. Each time you do it, it becomes harder. So you get down to 150 again, 160, and then you regain the weight. And now your new internal inset is 200, and so on and so forth. So we want to avoid that. If we lose the weight, we want to keep the weight off. Okay, so avoid yo-yo dieting, fad diets. Now, complex carbohydrates have a varied history, kind of a love-hate history with losing weight. Here's the thing. Most people exclude carbohydrates because when they're trying to lose weight, they go high protein, they'll go veggies and stuff, but some people do high fat too, right? Like lard or butter or whatever. And because fat, like cheeses and stuff, it can make you feel fuller longer. That's true. Okay. Here's the issue. When the complex carbs from like oats and veggies and quinoa and brown rice, these are actually very healthy for us. The studies show that it improves our chances to lose weight. Okay, we don't want to just be on like cheese and kind of like the ketogenic unless you need it for your health. Between you and your doctor, there are some like people prone to seizures that the only thing they're refractory to any kind of seizure medication, meaning they don't work, but a ketogenic diet does. So this again is where you need to talk to your healthcare team. If you absolutely need a ketogenic diet, then you need it, right? You need to do it. I'm talking about for those people that don't, we want the complex carbs because they actually improve the chances of us losing weight. Okay, so again, that's veggies, oats. If you are if you're celiac and you need to be gluten-free, then consider gluten-free oats. Okay, as long as you can take them. And veggies, the dark veggies. So if you can eat like dark greens, veggies like broccoli, spinach, kale, you've got blueberries, the blues. You want a variety of colors. The darker ones are really great. We want to get those because they have iron and things like that. Green peas, carrots. We want a rich variety. And there are a lot. So give it a shot. Try some veggies that you may not be familiar with. Mushrooms are great, okay, for our systems and our gut microbiome, which I'll do another video on that if you want. Just comment below and let me know. And so we want to do that. Quinoa, brown rice, white rice spikes your blood sugar, brown rice, okay? Now, that all can help lower ghrelin, lowering it just a little bit, not too much. Okay, we're keeping it in the healthy range and improves our chances to lose weight and keep it off. Additionally, we need to get onto some healthy lean proteins like fish, because the fish oils are great for you, and chicken. You can do turkey, and if you can eat pork is good, but I know prices are really, really expensive right now. So you can get protein in other ways from like lentils, and these tend to be cheap. Green, brown, red lentils. So there's a variety of things that you can look at. So that's one thing. And that keeps you fuller longer, okay? And so look into that. And then another thing is, like I talked about fats. Fats, there's different kinds of fats. There's fats that can help you lose weight, and there's fats that will make you feel fuller longer. In the long run, they're not really good for reducing belly fat, and they're not really good for our cardiovascular health and our vascular health. Cardiovascular. So that's fat like butter, lard, those sorts of things we want to stay away from because they can increase ghrelin. They can increase ghrelin. We don't want that, right? Because that's inflammation, right? So we want to stay away from that. And what we would like to do is to get rid of that stubborn belly fat is to look for avocado, extra virgin olive oil, fish oils like salmon, so the fatty fish. That's good, but we want wild-caught salmon because the farm-raised salmon tends to have some heavy metals in it and things like that. If you can't, and that's what you can afford, I understand that completely. If you're in an area where it's really, really expensive, I am. I tend to get like canned tuna, even though that's kind of expensive. I get canned chicken. That tends to be lower. Right now, the ground pork, which is lean, it's not got the fat in it, is cheaper right now. So we're getting that in bulk at Costco. So just kind of, looking out for you as far as prices right now, because that's really, really expensive. You can get frozen, so frozen blueberries and frozen dark cherries. You can get like frozen broccoli, and you can get that in bulk if you can, and a lot of time that's cheaper. The canned stuff is good. Watch the sodium, because salt is also inflammatory, and we don't want a lot of that. So we also want to limit foods high in sugar, like regular sugar, corn syrup, and salt. It doesn't mean you can't have it. It just means we want to sparse it out, right? Everything in moderation, honestly. We don't want it every day. We don't want it even every week. Salt you can sprinkle on, just a little bit, but be really careful how much you're getting. And canned fruits, like especially vegetables, or beans, lentils, that kind of thing, they tend to be really high in sodium. So if you can get the kind that's low sodium, that's better than the other. Also, again, frozen, can't stress that enough, and they're cheaper. Okay, canned foods are cheaper too. So, and if you have to, also you can. It helps a little bit if you drain the canned stuff and then run some water over it to kind of get the excess salt out of it. Another tip. See, your mileage may vary. See if you like it. It doesn't mean that you can't eat some of your favorite foods. We just have to get more creative about it. And so look online for recipes and the sweets, because we'll crave sweets. Look at the berries, or look at the fruits that you can use. Blood oranges are great. It's wonderful. Antioxidants. Oranges are good. Blood oranges tend to have more antioxidants. So all of that, you want protein, you want fiber, because that gives you fiber. And then here's the fun thing. High percentage cacao, so chocolate. High percentage, 70% or over. The higher up you are, the better off it is for your heart health. Plus it's yummy. So you could melt some of that, and then you can put dip a banana in it and then eat the banana, or dip some strawberries in it, let it harden, or not let it harden, you just dip in it and eat it. A little bit, like a square or two of that goes a long way, and it's for your heart health. Okay, so it doesn't mean it's tasteless, because anybody that eats stuff, trust me, I've tried it for years, you cannot stay with it. It's ridiculous. You will not stay with it. You're doomed to fail. So you need good tasting food. Okay, so look online for recipes, and if you want, I can look up some of that, and again, comment below if that interests you. Another thing is drink plenty of water, except here's a caveat. Lots of people I've seen promote drinking a gallon or more. That's just too much. It's just too much. So for a lot of people, especially if you have a condition where you have to limit your water intake, kidney issues, right? So we want to be really careful about that. Or if you have so kidney edema issues and that sort of thing. So what we really shoot for is around 64 ounces a day of water or fluid like that. Water generally, that's 8-ounce glasses. However, that's just kind of a rule here. If you eat more fruits and vegetables, you get some water from that. Okay, so if you're shooting for like 55 or 60, if you get to 50 fluid ounces, track what you're doing each day and see right now what you're getting. You might be surprised at how little you're getting. I know I was. So I gradually have increased over the last several weeks, and because otherwise, if you drink a gallon, you'll be on the toilet like every 10 or 15 minutes. And if you're guzzling it, because I have to get it done, I have to get it in, it'll go through you. You're not really going to hydrate yourself. And as a matter of fact, you could pull nutrients from your body. We don't want to do that. Also, it can dilute the electrolytes in your body, which is the sodium, potassium, chloride. if you do that in certain situations and you have like a heart issue, maybe you're unbeknownst to you, right? You don't know that you do, or you do know that you do, and you can have heart arrhythmias, you can have VTAC, you can have AFib, you can end up in the hospital or worse. So again, they're well-intentioned. I get it. It's just not one size fits all kind of thing. That's not how this works here. Men generally require more water, a little bit more, not a lot, than women. And the older you get, maybe you don't need as much, right? I know some people that 6 glasses of water a day are great, okay? Remembering that if you intake caffeine, because I know a lot of people are thinking about coffee, that is a diuretic, meaning you'll lose more water. So even though you're like, hey, I'm good in the sun, it is fluid, but it is causing you to diurese, which is you're losing fluid. So keep that in mind, okay? And so again, we just want to shoot for like 64 ounces. If you're getting in a lot of vegetables, yeah, you'll kind of feel your skin gets smoother, your skin and things like that. So your hair and stuff, probably notice some difference there. And so yeah, just kind of keep that in mind, because that's still a lot. 64 fluid ounces is still a lot. It's still a lot to adjust to. So just be kind to yourself and gradually work up to it over several weeks instead of just all of a sudden. So I started doing that, and I have noticed a difference. We also want to focus on stress levels, and it's very easy to tell somebody to not stress. De-stress. I don't know how many times people have told me that. It's ridiculous. It stresses me out more. Honestly, how do we do this? So I just say self-care, right? Take a few times. If you can take a minute of your time, even like 5 seconds, and take a deep breath, hold it in for a second or two, and then let it out. I don't care where you are. You can do that at your desk. If you have a desk job, if you're with your kids and you need, everything's just kind of going hectic, helter-skelter or whatever, take a few seconds to breathe in and out. If you have a little bit more time, you can take a walk around your neighborhood, take a walk in a park, call a friend, watch a funny movie, and do some gentle stretching. You can stretch from a chair, like if you're more immobile. I have chronic fatigue, and so I can't do a lot of stuff like that high intensity, and I'll get into that in a second. That's not good for me. That actually will inhibit me from losing weight because it's too much stress on my body. So we're just talking gentle things that you can do for yourself, which will naturally decrease stress. If you have a meditation app that you can listen to, or if you just like classical music, or you like a certain kind of music, just listen to music for just like 5 minutes or something. Seriously, it works. It helps. Do it multiple times in the day, and you'll start noticing a difference. Stress increases ghrelin. We want to get proper sleep, 7 to 9 hours of sleep a night. I understand for perimenopausal and menopausal women, here's a problem. We have hot flashes, we have all sorts of things, and we're not getting that 7 to 9 hours of sleep. If you can take a nap, take it. I know it's like, well, if I take a nap, then I'm not going to sleep tonight. You probably aren't going to sleep anyway, so just go ahead and take it if you can take it. Seriously. If you can't, that's okay. What we can do is sleep hygiene, which is you go to bed at the same time every night, and you wake up at the same time every morning. That includes weekends. That includes holidays. So sometimes you can't stay on that forever, but 80, 90% of the time would be great. 95% of the time that would be great, because you can't catch up on sleep. Believe it or not, you can't. So we want good quality sleep because it's been known to spike ghrelin, and then we eat. That goes with stress too. So if we're really stressed out, it's called stress eating. It actually reduces stress. We ingest food. We're like, oh, it's so great. Mac and cheese, cookies, cakes, pastries, whatever. It does help us. It does reduce our stress and the cortisol levels in our body. It's just that we tend to gain the weight. It's the same thing if we don't get enough sleep. We will gain weight. Our blood pressure goes sky high too, which causes inflammation. We have inflammation. Our body, it's just bad. Cortisol increases more. It's just this never-ending cycle. So we want to make sure that we're doing self-care. I say self-care because if I say de-stress, I can't do that. So self-care is better for me. If you can do the de-stressor, and that's fine, teach their own. So then you look at foods. I know that I looked at food and thought, well, how do I lower ghrelin so I don't get so ravenous when I'm trying to lose weight? Keeping in mind that too little ghrelin is not good either, right? There are no known foods to actually suppress it completely, like we would like it to. But again, what I said is the complex carbs, right? Those really help because fiber will keep you fuller for longer. And you can go every 3 to 4 hours. And I would advise every 3 to 4 hours, you eat something, okay? Something healthy, something, a lean protein, something like that. And an apple, or apples are really good for you too, or blueberries, a handful of blueberries or something like that, right? You need something because it will keep the ghrelin kind of lower, and you can snack throughout the day, and it just helps. Okay, so having said that, there are studies out there, and of course we do know about the medications. Again, I'll go over that in another video. Besides that, there are studies, very few, that are looking at ghrelin blockers. So there's that in the works. They've looked at L-cysteine, which you can take as a supplement, and it was shown to lower appetite, like decrease appetite and lower ghrelin levels. However, there are just few studies on it. There's green tea extract studies that I saw in people that helped with decreasing like ghrelin, so appetite, and helps with some weight loss. But again, there's just so few. I want to be careful here because any supplements, they're generally not like, I know in the US, they're not FDA approved. And so people can say, have a supplement. But a lot of the time, what we're finding is that in these supplements, the supplement may not even be there, or it's not in the dose that they say it is, and it's not consistent, or it has like heavy metals in it, like mercury and lead, and that's toxic to you and to your health, and so that causes inflammation. It's just problems. So be very, very careful when we deal with supplements. I would advise you to talk to your neighborhood or neighborhood pharmacist about that, because they are the experts on that. If you can't, talk to your physician, talk to your nurse practitioner, talk to somebody in the know about that. Again, this is a science evidence-based platform here. So there's just that caveat there, okay? One other thing is the Mediterranean diet, which everybody pretty much has heard of, and it's probably ad nauseum. There are studies, though, that say which is, if you're unfamiliar, it's poultry, right? No red meat, no processed food, so no prepackaged stuff. And you have, so you have poultry, and you have a lot of veggies, right? But you have fatty fish like salmon, and then you have extra virgin olive oil. Now, there are studies out there, and especially for women over 40 that are listening to me, pay close attention. With this particular diet, right, it's good for many reasons, because we're getting the antioxidants and nutrients that our body needs, keeping us fuller for longer. Avocado, olives, great. Fermented olives are even better. And then, so you get the veggies, you get all of that, you get the lean protein. It has been shown to increase ghrelin. Yes, however, that increased ghrelin burns the midsection body fat that is prone to massively increase heart attacks, strokes, type 2 diabetes, cancers, that sort of thing. So it helps. It really, really helps. So if you haven't given a shot or something like that, or you can adopt some of it, right? Better than nothing. And it's just linked to better heart health, better vascular health, so lowers strokes, lowers heart attacks, lowers type 2 diabetes, helps with weight loss, get rid of that belly fat. It's just a really good diet. And there's a reason for it. That's why you probably heard about it. Definitely something to talk to your healthcare team about. And I'd be remiss if I didn't mention exercise. Now, it's different if you're in your 40s and you're a woman, you're going through perimenopause and menopause, because the old stuff, which is high impact interval training, HIIT, massively increases cortisol. Or if you go, like, because they say, what's the recommendation? 30 minutes a day, 5 days a week. So it's 150 moderate activity. You can do, if you're running or something, then it's less, but it's like, like 120 minutes at a time a week. Having said that, there are studies that I have really done a deep dive in, and I have had this issue. I've actually tried the HIIT. I've tried the running and stuff. I've gained weight, and the reason, the science behind that, is because it spikes our cortisol. It's too stressful, and it's not good. So what can we do? We can, ladies listening to me especially, we can do 10 to 15 minute exercises using like isometric exercises, using strength, like resistance bands. Okay. Just that, just that. Walking for 10 minutes after we eat, after dinner, reduces our blood sugars by 30% and helps us lose weight. And it doesn't have to be fast, just gentle. You can stand in your room, in your bedroom, which is what I do, and watch a program for 10 minutes. I set my timer and I just stand there and walk in place. It can, and it does help. And I'm starting to see the weight come off, guys. I'm serious. So, and I had gained weight trying to do the high intensity. And high intensity, yes, that's great for young people. That's wonderful. I used to do that and I could lose weight. I can't do that now. It makes me gain weight. So in an already inflamed body, I don't need any more inflammation. Okay. So 10 to 15 minutes, isometric. If you're interested in that, let me know and I can get a video on that. And I probably will anyway, but if you want it more quickly, then let me know, comment below. Yeah. So again, as a wrap up, if you're having a difficult time losing weight, especially if you're perimenopausal or menopausal, get your sleep, 7 to 9 hours. If you need a nap, take it if you can. Go to bed at the same time every night, wake up at the same time every morning, even on the weekends, holidays, that sort of thing if you can. Drink your water. Shoot for about 64 ounces, not the gallon, because that messes with your body and that's just too much. You'd be on the bathroom and you're not going to have any kind of quality of life doing that. But 64 is more doable. Gradually work your way up. Gradually work your way up on fiber too, by the way. Also self-care, right? Meditation, yoga, if you like it. I prefer Pilates. Yoga makes me angry, guys. I'm just going to be honest. I don't know what it is, but it just makes me angry. So Pilates, for whatever reason, I love. I do the isometric exercises and it's a lot, you guys. Like, it's a lot, but it does help, and my mood's better, and my body just feels better. So, and I am starting to lose that weight. Okay. Also, we want to get our protein and fiber, and right. So look at the Mediterranean diet, more fruits and veggies, no prepackaged foods, and then see where it takes you. I'm curious. I'm giving this information out for free because I'm just tired of things being behind a paywall. I'm tired of it. It just feels insincere, and I know there are some well-intentioned people and they're trying to make a living, and I get that. I just think that healthcare is should be free and available to everyone. So that's what I'm doing here. So if you like this, great, continue to do it. I also want to give the disclaimer once more. I don't know your situation. This is just educational information. So please talk to your healthcare team. If you don't have a healthcare team, which a lot of people may not have, try and find one. Find a good pharmacist out there. They're wonderful advocates for you. Find a great nurse practitioner. You can get some good physician's assistants, to help you navigate the system and everything else. But be your own advocate too, if you can, right? Bring somebody along with you to kind of, prop you up and give you, and maybe they can interject on your behalf and say, well, I have a question. I've had people do that for me. And there's no shame in that. And if you're able and you don't appreciate or don't feel kind of like it's a good fit, and you're able, because a lot of the time, there's some societies where you just can't get another physician, and I get that. There's like a gatekeeping system to get specialist or whatever. If you can, it's a big if you can. Find somebody else if you can. If you can't, work within the system that you have. Do the best that you can, and know that you're doing the best that you can. Take a deep breath, let it out. Okay? I'm here for you. So that's ghrelin in a nutshell. I will be going over another thing. I don't know, we'll see. I have autoimmune, I have chronic fatigue. I take medication that makes me fatigued too. So add that. It's like a quadruple whammy. I do the best that I can. I will post when I can. I just want you to understand where I'm coming from. This isn't big old, production and things like that. As you can see, I am in my bedroom. I do the best that I can. And I'm just tired of the way the system is working across the globe. And I want information out there to the people that deserve it, which is everybody, not just people that can afford it. So if this speaks to you, how you can support this channel is to subscribe and to watch the entire thing. Just put it on the background and let it go, right? Tell some friends about it. They can watch. That gets me views and viewers, and that helps. That's free, right? Again, I have not set up the Ko-Fi. Again, I have limited energy every day. I'm doing it by researching and getting the best information to you, which changes, sometimes yearly, sometimes every few years, sometimes each decade, but that's what I'm doing, spending a lot of time on that. So I'll get this stuff to you when I can. Just be patient with me, and until then, I'll continue to go over weight loss stuff on other videos, the other components of it. Anything that you would like to hear, please comment in the comment section, and I'll get to work on those. And anyway, I just want to say thank you so much for watching and taking the time to watch and taking interest in your own self, or if you're watching for somebody that you love, bravo to you. Big hugs, big pat on the back there, and until next time, be well.